Okay, hello everybody. Today we have a nice bunch with us. We have all the CET toppers, 99.99 percentiles with us, and these are all the students from IMS who have scored 99.99 in CET 2020. So I'll just quickly introduce. So we have Warren with us, who has got a score of 148. We have Jigar, who has scored 147, again rank 10 and 11 respectively. We have Anay, who has scored 149 and ninth rank this time, and Jai, who has scored 147 and rank 11. From the mentors side, we also have Shashank Prabhu with us, who has scored 99.99 for the sixth time. Of course, CET 2020 rank 1 with a score of 159. So we have everybody sort of who is on the panel, including me, is a 99.99 percentile at some point of time. So what we are going to be discussing is how to prepare for the Maharashtra seat, because this is one exam for which a lot of guidance or a quality guidance is not available. If you refer to a lot of sources, you will realize that the information that is there is extremely scattered, and there is no discussion on how toppers prepare for a test like this. How it's possible for people to score a 99.99 even in their first attempt, or for some maybe in the second or third attempt, right? But what is it? What is that secret recipe that is required to get 99.99%? So that is something that we'll try to decode in this particular session. So before we get started, we are just going to have a quick round of introductions from everybody. So let's start with Warren. Warren, if you can just quickly introduce yourself. So we'll go in turn. So once you're done, I think Jigar can start, and then so on. So Warren, over to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Warren Remedius. I have completed my Bachelor's of Accounting and Finance and Masters of Commerce with a specialization in Advanced Accounting from HR College, Mumbai. I have 2 years of work experience with EY, where I worked as an analyst in the Business Tax Advisory Service line. This is my second attempt at CET. Last year I had got a 99.93 percentile, and this time I have got a 99.99.
Okay, Jigar, over to you.
Hello friends, so my name is Jigar Parekh. I'm a graduate in BMS in marketing from Somaya College, post which I have a that spans around 3.5 to 4 years. This was my fourth attempt at CET. All the attempts were above a 99.67 was my lowest attempt. But I really wanted to get into so I did not take any at the college, and because I just feel it's really worth it. So yeah, that's all about me. Anay?
Okay, let's go to Anay.
I've done my computer science engineering from NMIMS, and I'm a fresher. This is my first attempt. I luckily scored a 99.99, but I was more or less focused only on the speed-based exams. That was what I wanted because I knew that was what I was good at. So those are the main areas of focus for me in exam guides. That's about it.
And Jay?
So I did my graduation in BMS from Mitibai College. Post that, I also took CAT and other competitive exams. This was my second attempt at CET. In the first attempt, I scored a 99.17. This time, I scored a 99.9.
Okay, all right. So if you actually you just heard what these guys said, right? You see that this is not heavy on the engineering uh, specialization. Only Anay that we have from the speakers is an engineer. Other students are either BMS or commerce background, and Shashank is a doctor. I also happen to be a science graduate, so not an engineer. So it is a common misconception that people have that, right? You have to be an engineer to do well in competitive exams, but that is not really the case. I'll also ask Shashank to introduce himself.
Yeah, so I'm Shashank Prabhu. I did my MBBS, as Prasad mentioned, from Grant Medical College. Post that, I have done my MBA from FMS Delhi. So, as an aspirant, and specifically talking about the CET, as an aspirant, when it was my first attempt, this was year 2010, I had managed to score rank 1 back then. So, and I have taken CET, what, 8 times in total till now, and 6 time 99.99 percentile. So CET, again, as a lot of you guys said, it's a speed test. I enjoy taking speed tests, and presently I'm a mentor at IMS Thane. So I sort of roam around in that Thane moving belt. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay. So I'll also quickly maybe introduce myself. Hello, everybody. My name is Prasad Sawant. I work with IMS as Chief Mentor and graduated from JBIMS batch of 2011. So during my time also I had taken CET, of course, and had a 99.99 that time. So let's get started with our discussion for the day. So the first thing that we'll start discussing is when did you guys start your preparation, right? As to what, so and before your preparation also, as to when did you decide that MBA is what I want to do, and then how the journey started. So maybe let's start with Jay this time.
So I was in the last year of my bachelor's when I decided that I want to do an MBA, and I decided to take CAT that year. However, I couldn't score good that time, and I also took CET. So I decided that I would take it another time, and I reattempted CAT and CET. I once again put in the efforts, and yeah, here.
And what about you, Anay?
Oh, I have a sister who's currently in JBIMS, so I kind of knew how to go about this, and she had the two wonderful mentors who were sitting here, so we knew exactly what we had to do. So I started quite early on. I think I'd started preparing. I think I must have taken my first mocks seriously around sometime during CAT, sometime October, November. That would be the proper attempts where it properly started. But I know I've taken mocks before that, which was just randomly. But the serious one started then. The serious preparation was more or less after that.
Okay, okay. Now let's come to Jigar, because Jigar again has an interesting story. When we went through his introduction, he said that this is his fourth attempt. So I think it will be difficult to pinpoint as to when exactly the journey started.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this year's CET. When did you actually start taking mocks or for this season, including your CAT and other exams?
So my first mock this year, since I was working alongside, I could start the preparation very late. My first mock this year was on Feb 8th, and post which I kind of let my work take a backseat, and I was putting in like a good number of hours every day. Though the number of mocks that I took this year was not that much, I think I, I just took around 20 mocks. That's it. But the analysis of each and every mock took almost double the time of that I took to take a mock. So
Mhm.
that's, I guess, what helped me a lot to understand where I was going wrong and what area should I concentrate on.
Okay, all right. And let's come to Warren. So Warren also was a working professional, right? So how did you manage that part and preparation? Because again, you said that this was your second attempt at CET. Because even when I was a student, had taken a second attempt, and the transition, though it looks easy, right? That you're taking another attempt and moving from, let's say, 99.34 to a 99.99. Though it looks very easy, it's not that easy, right? A lot of people don't understand. So if you can just add to that part as to how did you start your preparation this time, or even maybe last time, what was your strategy? Because again, 99.9, what was your score last year?
99.93.
So again, that is not an easy feat to achieve, right?
Yeah.
So how did that happen, and then how did this happen?
Yes, sir. So I believe that the best way to approach CET is to take all of the previous exams seriously. That is what I believe helped me. So preparing for CAT for a period of 6 to 8 months and laying the foundation really strong when it comes to each individual section. So all of the sections are usually overlapping. So getting a strong base in verbal in logical reasoning, in data interpretation and quant really helped me with my preparation for CAT. So when it came to CET, I had started my CET preparation around January, but by that time all of the basics were already in place. So all I had to do was prepare for questions that are unique to the CET. There are certain questions, certain types of questions like abstract reasoning, in logical reasoning, certain types of questions that you don't see in the CAT or in other exams. So for the period of Jan, I would work on all of those unique question types while giving, say, around 1 to 2 mocks a week. From Feb onwards, once I had completed the conceptual part of the preparation, I would only work on speed. So I would increase my number of mocks to 3 mocks a week, 4 mocks a week. And in the week leading up to the CET, I would give 1 mock per day and take a rest one day before the exam. So I believe laying the foundation maybe in October, November, while you're preparing for CAT is really important, and then working on speed after that, since CET is a completely speed-based exam.
Okay, all right. So again, a lot of you, when you were discussing, you mentioned mocks, right? So how many mocks did you take? So I think let's start with, so because I kind of saw Anna's analysis of the mocks that he had taken. So I know somebody who had done very elaborate analysis. So he had created an Excel sheet where every single mock that he had taken was written. The sectional scores, attempts, accuracy, everything was written. So versus that, if somebody has taken fewer mocks, right, but with thorough analysis again. So we'll contrast that part now. So Anna, we'll start with you as to how many, why did you take so many mocks? Because your story is what 63 mocks, right? So why did you take it in the first place?
I think for me, mocks were not some way to see how much I can score, but it was some way of understanding where I'm going wrong. So for me, the reason I was taking mocks was not just to get a score or to reach a point where I was happy with or to understand where I even stood. It was only to know what topics I was going wrong in. And that carried on to my analysis in the sense that in my analysis, as Sir said, I even had chapters that I was going wrong in. I would write down chapters and count the number of mistakes I'm making in particular chapters. So I could very easily pinpoint which chapter is going wrong. This is probably because of my computer science background, but this is what I love doing, and I enjoyed the analysis. I think I enjoyed the analysis more than I loved enjoy taking the mocks. It was just something I kept doing. I just kept finding out exactly those places where I could either save time or increase marks, or the balance between the two, which we all have to balance. So that was the main thing.
Okay.
And the reason I like taking mocks is because I got a lot of questions that I could solve in the time duration. That was something that helped me.
Okay. So and what was the transition like? So at what score did you start in your first mock? And of course, we know the outcome, which is what 149 on 200. But what was the starting point?
Again, my starting was quite nice because I had I had it in my family, so I had very good guidance that way. So I got a 126 in the first mock I'd taken. So that was that was a good thing, and that gave me a lot of confidence. But the thing about getting a good score in the first mock was that I let it get to my head. I let it get to my head, and then I was stagnant for a very long time. For a couple of months, I was just there and did not make a difference to what was happening. And it was just in my head that I've got this. My sister's 10 is 13, 14 marks ahead of me in that same particular mock. So I don't really have to do that much more that is required. But that was very wrong on my part. And that is what shouldn't happen to anyone. If they're preparing, just don't ignore your mock scores. Just keep taking whatever you have to do and just do it.
Okay, so would you still suggest somebody to take like a crazy number of mocks? Let's call it crazy number of mocks at 63. But would you suggest somebody to do that?
I think it's a personal preference. It's basically what you want to do. Even if you take a small amount of mocks, you just have to make sure you analyze it thoroughly. That is the point, is analyzing the mocks and not the number of mocks you take.
Okay,
It doesn't matter if you take more, if you take less. That is on how much time you can give, how good you are at analyzing and finding those areas and using those to increase your marks. So there were times where I would find errors, but I wouldn't put that in my mock the next time I took it, which was where I was going wrong. But I would make it a point by repeating that to go there and make sure I do that correctly. So for me, it helped, but for others, it is what they would prefer in their own thing.
All right. What about you, Jay? How many mocks did you take and what was the journey? So starting to the outcome.
So I started my CD prep at around like end of February. So I managed to take around 8 to 10 mocks. I started with a score of around 80, between 80 and 90.
Okay.
So yeah, it was not such a great score, but then that's where I started, and I started analyzing the mocks, and it was more about developing the strategy because I had just taken CAT, I had just taken ZAT and MAT, so it was more about developing a strategy, which took some time. But once I had a strategy in place, things started falling in place, and yeah, the score started coming out, and it was just more about working on the same strategy. It was about developing a habit of that strategy.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when you started, because you just mentioned that you started somewhere in the range of 80 to 90, and the outcome we have is 140 plus, right?
Yeah.
So in a small span of time, how do you scale up? How do you scale up at that level?
So I had developed a routine wherein I used to take a mock one day, and the other day I used to analyze it, and I used to keep on repeating it. And I made sure that I was able to complete all the mocks like 3 or 4 days for the main exam. So I did not take any mocks just before the main exam. But yeah, I used to take a mock one day and then analyze it the next day.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. What about you, Warren?
Yeah, so for me, for both my attempts, I give around 20 mocks. My first 10 mocks would always be setting a strategy, seeing what order I want to attempt the sections in, and finding the exact time that I'm actually able to complete the section. So if I had set a limit for myself and I wasn't able to adhere to it, I would try something different in the next mock, try something different until the 10th mock. But by then, it's important that one finalizes a strategy, and for the remaining 10 mocks, stick to that same strategy and just try and work harder and solve some faster to be able to increase your score. Because by the time you reach the exam, you need to be in a set frame of mind that you know that you will attempt so many questions in these many minutes, because there's very limited time. Even if you think for 30 seconds, you're losing out on 1 mark, at least in the paper. So I believe 20 mocks starting from January is a decent number as long as you're analyzing them well. So when I would start my initial mocks, I would spend much more time analyzing them and seeing where I'm making mistakes and which sections I can increase my score in. And another important thing which I think people should really see is which questions they're going to leave. So there are these questions in my mind that I know that I'm going to leave no matter what, how easy they are, and I would end up not even reading a single letter of that question, because if I'm not going to attempt that question anyway or not going to attempt it seriously, I wouldn't think that I would waste 10-15 seconds reading that question and then leaving it. So maybe that way people can, save a little time during their during the exam time, and use that same time to answer questions where they are confident they'll be able to get that correct.
Right. I think that's a very valid point. I mean, this is something that I tell to all the students every time that I'm talking about CET. That the CET is not about what questions you select. It is also about what questions you don't select. Right. It's about making those right decisions of leaving a particular question. Right. But was there any pressure, Warren, in terms of your one attempt? You already scored a 99.93. So, is there any pressure when you're taking mocks also?
So while taking mocks, you always want to improve from your previous mock. You don't want to stagnate or even worse, go below. So fortunately for me, by doing a proper analysis, my score was actually it was improving. I started off with my first mock with a score of around 105 or 110, and post that it was just increasing by a span of say 5 marks every mock that I was giving. But that's because I would make sure that the base number of questions that I'm answering seriously was the same, and I would attempt say 5 or 6 more questions of another type which I had learned say probably during the week. So there is a pressure, because even in one mock, if you see your score falling, you get really demotivated. But it's important that you don't let that get to your head and give another mock with an ample amount of preparation time, so that you've changed something from your last mock to the next mock. There's no point in just going from one mock to another without analyzing what's gone wrong in the previous one.
Right, right. We'll come to Jigar. So, Jigar, again, over that entire journey of such a long journey, I would say, how many mocks you would have taken if you were to take a rough estimate of
Overall,
overall in the entire journey of MB?
it's way above 120.
Okay, all right. For this year specifically, how many CET mocks and at what point did you start?
Uh, so I started in on 8th Feb, as I said. That was my first mock, where I scored 81.
Okay,
Well, I was terribly feeling miserable. Like I was totally feeling miserable, considering this wasn't my first attempt. But then I was also helping a few other people with their preparation, and that I guess made me understand that the mentality is mainly very important. So if I may just give uh, a few good words that I always tell people, is that CET may at least 20-25 question you will for sure not know how to solve. Just go with that assumption कि नहीं आने वाला है. But you need to understand that is not a big deal, because at 150 there is a very good chance that you will get into JB. And 150, that means out of every 4 questions you solve, you can solve one question wrong, or you can have the liberty of having one question you don't know, one question out of all the 4 questions, and still you'll get into JB. So just that having this mentality reduces your stress a lot, and the less the stress during the exam, I guess that is when you can give your best performance. Because
okay,
most of the times ये होता है, at least with me and many people that I've seen, even if you're stressed a little, that becomes a very big stress during the exam. And the questions that you very well know, or even if I found the answer on paper, I will mark the wrong option just because of the stress.
so
So
so this silly mistake that you spoke about, does it happen to you guys also? I mean, all of you, what's the take on this?
So,
Huge number of silly mistakes in the start, especially, and that was what got removed by doing it again and again and just working at it and keeping in your mind that you are making some mistakes and repeating the same mistakes again. Just being in that zone, it really helps a lot.
Okay. Okay.
just to frame that question in a different way, Prasad, are you guys happy with your CET score?
Happy that it got us through, even if the number doesn't sound as appealing. It's happy that it got us through. That's all that matters.
Because I strongly feel, as in personally, I feel that it would have at least been +5, +6 from what I did. There was an input-output set that I wasted 8-10 minutes on that. So I still regret that. Of course, the overall percentile and score and ranks are all fine, but there is still that small part that is missing at the end of the day.
Yes, sir.
Also,
Yes.
two more things I would like to add, like if I may. So, can I? Yeah. So never get stuck in the big circle of ego. अरे यार ये question पे 6 मिनट डाल दिया still solve नहीं हुआ चल ये question खत्म ही करता हूँ. Because a question which takes 6 minutes, that question is for sure going to take 12 minutes if you keep on solving it. Don't have that mentality कि चलो इसको already बहुत time चला गया जाने दो. I'll straight away jump on to other question. And just as opposed to Warren, I would just say not everyone ka graph goes like this. Like my graph personally was always like this. So just make sure that you don't get motivated, demotivated at any point. That will be the worst thing that you can do to yourself. Just keep talking good
Right.
to yourself, and that is gonna work very well for you.
Right. So I'll just ask Shashank one question because he is somebody who has consistently scored in the 99.99 percentile, of course, the score. And even when it has fallen, I think 99.98 would be the lowest that he has. So how do you continue to be in that zone, right? Because even I ended up taking CET this year and scored a 99.94. So it's very difficult to sustain a 99.9, right? It's easy to get it maybe once. No, I won't say easy because a lot of people will get offended by that statement. But then it's okay that you get it once, but then it's very difficult to keep on getting it again, right? So how do you maintain that kind of a state?
See, at the end of the day, it's mostly about confidence. So CET, as you said, and a lot of people spoke about mocks more than the content part of it. So to speak about something like a CAT, let's say, people prepare content for a good 3, 4, 5 months maybe, and then they start taking mocks. And at the end of the day, okay, even if you take some 20, 25 mocks, you're good to go. CET, on the other hand, I personally felt that a mock would not add a lot of value to you in terms of content. Strategy, yes, but content wise, if you look at a CAT mock, let's say for example, there would be a lot of things that you would learn with each and every mock. Okay, chalo, ye wala concept yahan pe you could have applied in a certain manner, which you might not know it. So that kind of value addition generally happens when it comes to the CAT mock. But CET mock will not add much in terms of content. Strategy, yes, you have to get the peaks and everything and all those things. The other thing is, again, having a set thing in your head. So you should be very clear about the question types that you are comfortable with, the question types that you are not very comfortable with. And even if, let's say, for example, someone might feel that maybe a question that is based on strong argument, weak argument, cause and effect, all these kind of question types that you might get, verbal reasoning questions that you might get, they are a bit difficult, on the difficult side. Someone else might feel that these are the ones that you need to attempt. So understanding yourself as an individual, as a candidate, is very important. Somehow I believe that during this journey, I was very lucky to figure it out right at the start. What exactly were the question types that I was probably good at or better at compared to the rest. And the other thing is, you cannot afford to have a weak section. So although CET is very deceptive that way, right? People feel that CET is a very easy test because there is no negative marking, no sectional time limits, no sectional cutoff. But you can't really be bad at a section and still hope to get a good score at the end, because you never know. This year, for example, as in quant became a bit easier compared to last year. And I particularly found visual reasoning to be slightly on the tougher side for some reason. I didn't see a lot of people complaining about that, but personally, I felt that visual reasoning was at least 5 or 6 questions that were difficult compared to last year's maybe section. So understanding yourself as a candidate is very important. Somehow I feel that maybe that has happened, and of course, once you get the confidence, I generally tell this thing to the students as well. I mean, your brain is a wonderful organ, and it's sort of confidence. So the more confidence you get, the more you get into the test, fearing less about what score you will get, what would be the cutoff, what is this 99.99 percentile, and all those things. You just go there to one question at a time. So keeping it simple generally makes a big difference in these.
Okay, and since you mentioned about a specific section, right? You said visual reasoning is something that was difficult. So a lot of times this is something that students want to know is that whether slot wise, is there any huge difference in terms of what is the composition of the question or the difficulty level? Because I think in your slot, both of us took it in different slots. I think Anay, I remember, was in the on first day first slot. I was on second day first slot. Shashank was on second day second slot, if I remember correctly, right? So, did you guys, based on your interaction in other aspirants, did you find any significant difference in difficulty level? Because I found visual reasoning extremely easy. In I think 25 questions, I was done in about 20 minutes, I guess. So didn't find it that difficult. I started with that as a section. But have you faced anything like that where people say that there's huge difference in terms of what the difficulty is from slot to slot? Anybody would like to comment? Maybe we can start with Jay.
Yes.
This time I think that LR section was difficult across all the papers, across all the slots. However, VR section, as sir said, even I felt it was a tad bit difficult in my slot. Mine was also the fourth slot. So even I felt it was a tad bit difficult. So it may vary a little, but then overall I feel it is on the same level.
Okay, Jigar, I think wanted to add something.
Yeah. I faced this even while I was taking the mocks. I While I was taking the mock, I felt, अरे यार आज की mock में logic difficult है. अरे यार today abstract is very difficult. But in the end, when you go down to the analysis part of it, and if you compare it to the previous test, you'll understand difficulty level is more or less the same. But it's just that at that point, I was mentally thinking कि यार मतलब आज आज मैं ज्यादा ध्यान क्वांट्स पे दे रहा हूँ, so my mind is more interested in doing quant, so I'll feel by default कि logic difficult है. So I think that also boils down to the point where how you are thinking.
Okay.
If
All
you
right.
go with a mentality that all the sections have equal weightage and I'll put equal effort into all of them, then I guess all the people will feel that all the sets were comparatively just the same level.
Okay. So, and another thing, because that slot, inter-slot difficulty is something that a lot of people ask about, and people tend to think that the questions repeat from, say, day one to day two, and people think that who are taking it on day two have an advantage, so to say. So, is there anything like this? What do you think, Warren?
Yes, sir. So I believe that both my CET attempts, my slot has been on Sunday morning, and on Saturday I would always want to see the analysis of the first two slots. But I believe it would be best if someone does not, see the analysis of the first two slots and just go as though you're going for another mock, which you really have to do well in. Because in the end, think of it, if it was another mock that you were giving, you would go with that same motivation to go and score as high as you can. Now, if you've heard from someone that LR was difficult, visual reasoning was difficult, while giving the test, it will play with your mind. You'll think that your LR section is difficult, but yours might actually turn out to be easy, and you'll solve less attempts than you would have in a mock. So the thing is that it also depends on perception. So there are people who might not be as well prepared as you, who would feel that a certain section is tough, and they'll tell you about that. But that's not necessarily repeated in the next slot. So I believe if for the safest to be the safest when it comes to attempting the CET would be to not really get indulged in all of the analysis that people are giving from the Saturday to the Sunday. And also regarding the advantage that the Sunday people get, I think it's as much of a disadvantage too, because it plays with your mind. Like
Right.
if you come out of the exam and someone says quant was very difficult, so when you reach the quant section on Sunday, you in your mind you'll be double thinking each question. You'll waste more time on a question thinking this is tough. So I believe people should go with a clear mind, just as if it's another mock, and give their best shot at it, no matter how the previous slot was.
Okay. Okay. And so again, speaking of sections, right? So we'll start with Anay this time, and the question is, what section was something that you always found a little difficult to cope with? So to say your weakness, because I wouldn't call it weakness because it's something which we call area of improvement. What was the section where you required the most improvement when you were preparing?
I think for me, what used to happen was that I loved math, I loved solving quant questions, but what used to happen was I would take quant questions and sit on them for extended amounts of time only to get it right. When I was taking mocks, I would just be doing that initially, and that was one thing that even though I was getting good marks, I would be spending a disproportionate amount of time. So even if you're getting good marks, it doesn't matter. What matters is how much time you're taking and what the ratio is between marks and marks per minute. That is the only thing that matters. So for me, even though even though I'm an engineer, I think the area that needed most improvement was quant, because I needed to make sure I was taking the least time in that. So I'd in fact put a limit that I'll be spending only 30 minutes on this, whatever happens later, but I would only spend that. And if I have more time later, I would go to it again. That forced me to select the questions better. And I think otherwise, verbal was something that I worked quite a bit on, but that was about that. Yeah.
Okay. What about Jay?
I think I used to start my paper with the VR section because it was my strength. I used to complete it in like 22 minutes, and then later on move to the LR questions that were single questions, not the sets, and then move on to the verbal section, then move on to the quant section and solve the single question.
Okay.
And then later on move on to the sets that I found to be easy, because LR sets for me in particular used to be quite time consuming, and that was an area I think I could have improved on, and the quants questions used to take much more time for me.
What about you, Jigar?
So so this was not the first CET that I've taken. This is the fourth one. And in the last all my CETs, I always used to think that English is my strength because I solve it the fastest. So my English section is 18 minutes, and where I have always scored above 35. Like that, 34 has been my minimum score this mock season. But then I realized that quant is taking much more time. But once I started studying quant a little more, I changed the mentality a little bit. I started thinking of it as a game. And once I started doing that, I realized by the time I was at the exam, most of the time, like during my preparation, most of the time I was doing this. There is a particular method to this that we have been taught, that I have always studied on the internet. I try to make my own strategy to it. I try to make my own method. And in that way, I could mix and match. And the best thing that happened was I got very good at playing with numbers. And the section like quant, which I was the most afraid of till last year, that kind of became my strength. Because I realized quant and logic are the only two sections where you can have a definite answer. Abstract and English, there is a little ambiguity. अरे यार शायद question गलत है या सही है. So having that definite answer कि हाँ चलो मेरे इतने questions तो पक्के सही है, that is a huge confidence boost. And if you have a high confidence level during the exam, that is the best thing that you can do to yourself, I guess.
Right. Right. What about you, Warren? Any particular section which was a challenge for you?
Yes, so I would actually carry forward my fear from CAT to CET. So in CAT, quant was usually my weaker section, and I would think that maybe since it's weak there, it would be weak in CET too. But the type of questions that come in CET, along with the options that you have, many of the questions are actually solvable either by looking at the options or by approximation. And since you don't have a calculator in CET, I thought that it would be tougher. That I don't have a calculator here. It might take me longer to solve a question. But when you don't have a calculator, you're forced to think of new methods to solve quant questions and shorter methods and shortcuts on your own because you want to solve the question in a quicker amount of time. So over time, I increased my quant. My quant score would usually be around 20, 25 out of 50. And towards the end, by working on it and learning new methods and how to approach quant questions, I would finally start getting around 30, 35 towards the end.
All right. I'll ask a question to Shashank because see, when it comes to section order, there are different theories that people go with. Some people like to start with the area where they are fastest. Some people like to start with the area where they're best. And some people, of course, a lot of people like to keep LR towards the end, right? So this is even what my strategy was, to keep LR and try to knock off, say, visual reasoning, your quant and verbal sections in the first 60 to 70 minutes or whatever. So Shashank, on the other hand, starts with the LR section, right? So what is the mindset? Why do you start with LR, which is considered to be the most difficult section? And if you can just comment on whether it makes sense for an aspirant to do that, because when you are taking the test or I am taking the test, we are taking it with a different mindset. We are trying to figure out what, even at a psychology level, how students should behave in the paper, what they should have done, what they should not have done, etc. But what is the thought process when you are starting with that?
So, see, as in it depends on your philosophy towards life, is how I put it to the students as well. I am generally someone who likes to put in the hard yards first. So, take care of the difficult part first, and the easier part you can manage for sure, irrespective of whatever happens. For me, quant has always been a stronger section. Again, ironically, considering that I come from a non-engineering background. But then again, I have always been someone who is comfortable with numbers. Now, as Anay put it, and I think we discussed it during your prep as well. If you like a section, you tend to invest a lot of time in that section because you generally feel that this is my strength. So I will approach it with only my mind as a frame of reference. I will not think about the aspirant field that exists. Because of course, if you are putting in 1 more minute in the quant section compared to the verbal section, and if the verbal is easier on that particular slot, then you are missing out on something. So for me, the indicator was always LR. So from this philosophy that exists, that I will do the difficult part first, and then lastly 60 minutes I can do I can go crazy. I can probably attempt 100 questions, 120 questions as well over the last 75, 80 minutes. Once I'm in that zone. So my philosophy has always been LR first. The other thing is, irrespective of whatever happens, and LR has of course become difficult over the last 5 years now since IBPS started conducting it. One thing wherein the cutoffs changed. So if you look at it, 2016 was a moderate-ish paper, right? 165 was the rank one that year. 2017, the topper fell to somewhere around 143, I believe. I had scored a 136, I think that year. So the population fell down by 2022 marks, and that was primarily because of LR. So in 2016, 2017, 2016, 18, 19, and 20, if I look at it, I would have probably scored somewhere around 60, 61, 62 questions genuinely when it comes to the LR section. But 17, I observed that it was very difficult to cross that 48, 49, 50 marks. So LR for me has been a section wherein it will contribute to 40% of your skills. Even if you are an aspirant, if you are not getting 50 in LR, it's very difficult to get a 125 overall. Is my correlation. So the first section, the first hour will probably tell you what score to expect or what score to target in the rest of the day. So if you feel that it is especially nasty, there is not even a single set that you can make sense of, and you are basically at, let's say, 40, 45 questions at the end of maybe that hour, you know that you have to drop the section then and there and focus on the other section. And this is going to be a 125, 130 kind of a game, not a 150, 140, 150 paper. So that is an indication that I generally get. And I keep my quant for the end. So even if I have to deal with quant in 30 minutes, I know I will be able to justify it, as in I will be able to at least get a competitive score compared to the other aspects. Even I might not be able to solve it as much as I might have liked to, but purely from a competition perspective, I know that whatever people can do in 35 or 40 minutes, I will be able to do it in 30 minutes. So I go into that section with that much of confidence. Usually I keep the strongest for the end, something that you can sort of look forward to throughout the paper.
Okay, all right. So
in fact, I had written these exact same words in my notes, and that is exactly what I read before I went for the test, because I knew this is what would motivate me to go and do it properly and keep it in mind that I can do it and I can achieve it. This is exactly what helped me out in the end.
So just adding to what just now Anay said, right, that motivation part, and even what Jigar had mentioned some time back, that he tried to convert it into a game kind of a thing where you're chasing a particular score or trying to get better, right? So what I want to know from each of you is, first of all, how do you manage the motivation part through the preparation phase? And then when you're going for the test, what is the psychology on that day or even during the test? So I think let's start with Warren here this time. Warren, so how do you manage? Because again, you were working. So while working, of course, Monday to Friday, Monday to Saturday is completely blocked for you. You're always on to something. It's very difficult to have focus, have the energy and motivation to do this, right? So how do you manage the motivation part during the preparation, and what is the psychology on the test?
So while working, I had a job from Monday to Friday. It's very important to make time both in the morning before work and while coming back from work at night, at least 1 to 2 hours on both sides of your office hours. And the weekends would mainly be for mocks. So on the weekdays, it's almost impossible to take a mock for most working professionals, depending upon your office timings. But on the weekends, it's really important that at least you give one mock or two if possible on Saturday and Sunday. Now, regarding motivation, I think the best thing to have at the back of your mind while going for the CET exam is that this is not your only option. So what helped me score really well last year was that in my mind, I already decided that I was going to attempt CAT 2019. So for me, I was giving the CET without any pressure, that I wanted to do well, whatever happens will happen, but I'm going to give CAT 2019. And that really helped ease my pressure, because it was not that this is my only option and I have to do well in this exam, because that adds a lot of pressure to your exam day. even for this year, at the back of my mind, I had already been preparing for GDPIs for various IIMs and for other colleges. So at the back of my mind, I knew that I have a backup in case this doesn't work out. So let me just give it my best shot. Whatever happens will happen. So I believe having some sort of reassurance at the back of your head that this is not your final attempt, this is not your only attempt possible to making it to an MBA, really relieves some of the pressure when it comes to the exam day.
Okay, okay. What about you, Jack? How was the motivation like throughout the preparation phase?
So I think it was pretty much what Warren said that I had taken CAT 2019 and had calls from some of the big IIMs. So I thought that this is not going to be my only option, but it was more about opening up options. So if I score well in CET, I'm guaranteed an admission in one of the best colleges in the country. So that's what I thought, and that's what my mindset was.
Okay. And how about on the test day? Was there any specific psychological preparation that you had done?
Nothing of sort, but then I stayed away from watching videos of the previous day's analysis because I felt that that would actually pressurize me more.
Okay, okay. What about you, Anil? Because see, Warren, Jai, both of them had taken CAT, whereas you had not taken CAT also. So the exams that you focused on was NMAT, where you again had a very mighty score of 224 and you converted NMIS with that. How did you manage your college? You were studying in college, you're doing engineering. So again, I understand even that is a very heavy. Your day generally packed because of your practicals and your. So how do you manage? I mean, what was the motivation like, and how did you manage entire thing?
I think opposed to what Warren said, it was instead of having options, this was my only option, and that is what made me more determined to get it, because I knew that this is the only chance I have at getting a good thing. Because I knew that my speed was much higher than what I could do when it came to difficult questions. I knew that my speed base was much better. I could solve faster and I could do better. So the motivation is primarily the want and the desire of getting into JB and getting into such a prestigious college. It was just that, and that is what kept motivating me throughout. Now about NMAT and everything, every time I used to score a little bit higher. So it always gave me the boost that I can do this and I can do better. And every time the percentile was going higher, which was very nice that happened, but that was there. And at the same time, I had wonderful people in my life who would always be there to tell me that this is the correct way to go. This is where I need to go. And I had the confidence that if I'm in the right space on the last day, I know I'll be able to do it. I just know that I need to be in the right mindset, and that is all that matters. I think a lot of this has come because of taking mocks, especially the IMS ones, because they were very. When I took the first IMS mock, after I walked out, my head was hurting because I was wondering what happened in that paper, and it was always like that. The proctored mocks were always a very challenging thing. I used to enjoy taking IMS mocks in particular because I used to love competing with everyone who was there. And that same thing continued forward. That same thing continued on the final day. And I had all your help, so it helped a lot on the final day with boosting. And I'd like to add one thing, Prasad, so your blog that was there, the Cracking CET blog, the last article that you wrote about the topper, about who a winner is and who a topper is, I think that was one of the last things I read before my CET as well, because I knew that is what I need to be. And that was great motivation for me throughout what I was saying.
Thank you. Thanks for that. I think I'll also mention about the blog towards the end. But yeah, coming to Jigar now. So again, how did you maintain the motivation?
I can't agree anymore with Anay. Like, I feel I totally agree with them. Your blog helped a lot, and the motivation for me was just that कि यार इस बार JB जाना है, and the whole point is I realized that the only thing keeping me as a ऐसा नहीं है कि चीजें नहीं आती. Most of the people who go to the exam have prepared well, like pretty well to get into JB. But the only thing stopping us is the stress and the tension. कि यार मतलब JB चाहिए. That making that power like making that boon a bane. That is what we do if we stress ourselves out. So I just think for me the motivation was only that कि यार उधर जाके एकदम chill रहना है. I was going there, I had my headphones on, I drove my car because I love driving. And if you looked at me during the exam day, you'll absolutely laugh on me because I was an absolute joker. I had worn the things that I'm most comfortable in, and for most of us is the shittiest clothes that we have at home. So I didn't care that day कि यार मतलब कोई क्या सोच रहा है. I was just like I need to be comfortable in each and every way that I am, mentally as well as physically.
Okay.
Because anything that would stress me out, I wanted to keep it out.
Okay. All right. So I'll come to Shashank now. So what's the topper's ritual when you go for the exam? what do you do? I mean, do you wear a particular shirt? Is there something which is lucky? Or do you carry the same, whatever, anything that you consider lucky and stuff?
No, it's not a game of luck. As in, it's a different situation every year, right? So this year, Prasad knows, right? So there was a 50% chance that we would not take the test, both of us. So we had our annual business review kind of a thing, and we were not even in the state. So if our CET would have happened on the 14th, both of us would not have been sort of sitting here as well. I think. But luckily, as in we had our slots on the 15th. So I think that was sort of the only good thing that happened throughout the prep. But no such ritual. I generally follow this thing. So I have this thing. It helps me sort of alleviate the pressure that gets piled on. Right. I always like to talk to someone who knows the test well. I will not look at random analysis, random videos of people who might not have taken the test themselves. जो सिर्फ जाके बोल रहे हैं कि हाँ ये मतलब पैटर्न था, ये 4 क्वेश्चन रहते हैं, so I really like to talk to people who have taken it and who have a good sense of the test. Question types, subjectivity, of course there will be some amount of subjectivity, but I really feel a bit comfortable in my head if I know exactly what this person has gone through. So even earlier, I think 2016 was my last rank 1, so to say. So even during that time, one of our colleagues, as in he had taken the test in the previous slot. So I had a nice 15-20 minutes discussion with this guy as to what exactly had happened, what sort of were the question types, was there something that you hadn't anticipated and that kind of a thing happened. So I like to be mentally prepared for each and everything. So I like to visualize what exactly am I going to do. Of course, even if there is a different scenario, then how will I react to those scenarios? I rarely want to be surprised on the day of the test. So that is one thing that I generally look at. So that I'm very particular about. Even this year, I was lucky enough to have a word with one of our colleagues, Gaurav. So I spoke to him the evening before, and he gave me a nice download on how did he feel throughout the test. So I was mentally a bit attuned to the fact, okay, there is a chance that quant could be a bit easier. Logical reasoning more or less is on similar lines compared to the last few years. Verbal, more or less, you can breeze through. So I was sort of mentally prepared for that kind of an eventuality. Although even if I didn't speak, I would have probably attempted it in the same manner, but it generally helps calm your nerves down.
Right.
That is one thing that I generally do whenever it is possible.
Okay. All right. So we are nearing towards the end of this panel discussion. So one last thing from all of you as to what would be your tips to anybody who is watching this video, right? As to how do they begin their preparation? How should they go about it? What are the things that we should do, things that we should not do? So if you can just quickly summarize any tips that you may have for future aspirants, because people look up to you, right? You guys have scored 99.9. People are going to associate you with that. So, how do you manage, or what are the things that people should do, should not do to get to a score like this? So, I think let's start with Jay.
So I think that the number one thing is to get your concept cleared first before taking mocks, because people usually start taking mocks without having a clear idea of what the concepts are like. And while taking a mock, it is very important to have discipline. Discipline in the sense that I will spend only this much time to a certain section, because people tend to get stuck on a particular section on a particular question, which is a very difficult thing to get used to. Like you need to leave a question if you are not able to solve it. So what I used to do is, if I am not able to spend a question within 1 minute, I used to leave it and move on to the next question. I used to mark it for review, but then I used to move on to the next question. So that is something that to keep in mind. And at last, it is a skill-based test, so one needs to keep that in mind as well.
Okay. Anay, any specific tips for future aspirants?
I know I keep coming back to about how you guys have helped me, but it really has been a lot. So I'm going to mention it again. The first time I met Prasad sir, this was at, I think, the Bandra branch of IMS. And this was after Isha, my sister, got into JB. And we were sitting and discussing how things are going, her score and what is going to happen. And he had said one thing, that don't let the exam get bigger than you. That is one thing that has always been in my mind, that don't let the exam get bigger than you. You are the one in control. You are the one taking the test. You make sure that you are doing it right. Just that confidence that you have in yourself that you will be able to do it, I think that is the most important thing that any aspirant can hope for and do. Second tip, just be in contact with these two mentors. You will be fine after that. Just be in contact and do it.
Okay. Warren, any tips for aspirants?
Yes. So to all the future aspirants for CET, the exam, if you see the 200 questions, they are not tough. If you were given 3 to 4 hours and given the paper to sit with, you would be able to solve all 200 questions. The selection of questions is what is important, and the selection of which questions to leave. So do not stick to a question if you feel you're not going to be able to solve it within a minute. Have the confidence to leave the question. Do not be scared of leaving a question and moving on to the next one, because no one is going to be able to solve more than 170 questions on the test in the given time. You're going to leave 30 questions no matter what. So why not leave those questions which you know will take 1 minute longer, to more than 1 minute to solve. And the other thing, the main thing which Anna said is mentality. Always believe in yourself. Know that you can do it. Anyone can do it. I mean, you don't have to be from a specific background or an engineer or anything. Anyone can do it. You just have to have that commitment and motivation, and know what your end goal is, what final score that you want, and work towards it. And just don't be scared when it comes to taking the exam. It's not that tough an exam. It's a speed-based exam. What you need to do is work on speed, and mocks are really helpful.
Okay. Okay. Over to you, Jigar. Any last minute thoughts for aspirants?
So for the last minute thoughts, I would say, so one of Elon Musk, he happens to be one of my favorite people on in the world. I follow him a lot. He has this very good statement that you have to put in 100 hours to 80 hours every week, because everybody else is putting in 40 hours. And if you do that, and since all of you are doing the same work, you'll be able to finish the same work in half the time. So by this we can interpret for CET in such a way that if you compare yourself to everyone in the classes, if you are studying with classes, don't compare yourself with them, because not everybody gets into JB, and the same way not everybody is working well enough to be in JB. That's a very small fraction of people, and out of the people that you're watching, maybe only 1 or 2 people are like that. But you'll always look at the majority. Always keep competing with yourself, that where were you wrong, and each and every mock should be taken with the mentality कि I'm not taking the mock to see मुझे कितना score आ रहा है. I'm taking the mock the mentality कि where am I going wrong? Where do I go wrong this time? Be excited about your mistakes and have the will to correct each and every mistake that you have. I guess that will reduce your exam taking stress on the final day very well.
Okay. Shashank, anything from your side for the aspirants?
Yeah, couple of things. So one thing, see, a lot of you are watching it, and a lot of reactions that we got from the toppers this year were primarily from the student side, right? Now, what happens is you are planning to be an MBA at the end of the day. You are working very hard to either sort of set up your business, grow your business, or become employable, or even become better in handling teams and resources. Now, it's very important to look at it right from the start. So that is your end goal. This is cracking a test is not going to be your end goal, because when you crack a test, you go and sit your first day at JBIMS. What are you going to do next? Because you don't have a goal beyond getting into JBIMS, right? So always have a larger goal in mind. Think about how do you, so analysis part that these people mentioned, I think it's very important, because at the end of your MBA, you would probably be put in a setup which you have very little idea about. To just give you a parallel, as in after my MBA, I was placed with this company called ITC. And I was handling the sales and operations for the entire Andhra Pradesh for the personal care and home care products. Now, that's a category that I have never sort of sold in my life. Didn't even know a lot of the brands that existed. I didn't know the territory, I didn't know the geography, but of course the organization trusts you to handle this responsibility well. And that is because they have seen it somewhere on your CV that you are able to handle ambiguity, you are able to as in function in a structured manner, right? And that starts with your entrance test. So the more you analyze, the more you know yourself as an individual, as in the philosophy that we spoke about. As in how do you think in general, as in outside the test, taking scenario as well. It's very important to understand yourself as an individual, set practical targets. So people who have started at 80, 90 as well, I'm sure that you guys would not have thought of 140 right after the first month. It was a journey from 80, 90, chalo, I'll go to 100. That is my next goal. As soon as I go to 100, I will not fall back, right? I will make sure that this is my new base. Then I will go ahead. It's very important to understand and move ahead as you prepare. There might be ups and downs, like Jigar said. But then again, the idea is to move ahead in an overall context. One. The second thing is whenever you are taking mocks, there is this one habit that I observe when people come to the center and take the test, is that they leave their rough sheets there and go out of the lab, right? Even when you are sitting at home and taking the test, you will take a scribble pad or a book or a diary, write it randomly, and then forget about it. I am a big believer in carrying those sheets with you everywhere. Just make sure that you're writing it in a nice, orderly manner. even if you're scoring 5 marks fewer in your mocks, it's okay. It's not a loss at all. You should know how exactly is your thought process during those 150 minutes. What are those brackets in time where you tend to lose focus? You should ideally attempt the questions that you are strongest at during those moments. So if it is, let's say after 60 minutes, people tend to thoda sa fall flat. And after maybe 90 minutes, they tend to pick up because the pressure is too much after that. So that 60 to 90 is a good window wherein you can put a section which you are very good at. So these kind of insights generally help if you are saving your rough sheet. So just be tuned throughout, as in don't lose focus at any point in time, and then you should be good to go.
Okay, okay. So I think that brings us to the end of this particular panel discussion. So I thank you. Okay, Jigar wants to add something. So let's do that quickly. Yeah, Jigar.
I'm really sorry for interrupting you, sir.
So that's okay.
So this is I think the one thing that you guys should take out of this, all the students who are watching this, is that if you listen to each and everything that Shashank sir or all of us have said, we have a similar mentality. The way that we are approaching, the approach is very much similar. Thoda 19-20 hai, but it is very much similar to each, like all the approaches. So all I want to say is, it's not the people who get into JB, it's only the people who have a set mentality that get into JB, like, or score well for any exam. So improve your mentality, your scores will get better.
So thank you again, all of you. Thanks, Warren, Jai, Anay, Jigar, and of course, thank you, Shashank. So I wish you guys all the best, of course, with whatever plan that you have next from here. Of course, for people who are, of course, all of you will be starting your MBA soon. So I wish you all the best in the career that you're going to have. A few last thoughts about CET. So I run a blog called crackingcet.com. It's a resource that we thought of creating last year to give quality insights on the preparation of CET. This is something that I think you should visit. We'll try and put the URL in the description, just crackingcet.com. That is one thing. The other is, of course, IMS mocks when it comes to CET are of immense use. Everybody here will vouch for that fact that IMS mocks were the closest to the actual CET, and people who had taken it were prepared for any eventuality that would have happened on that, right? So that's it from my side. I again thank you all for the time that you have given. I hope that all the students will be able to benefit out of this. Okay? So thank you so much, guys. We'll stop the discussion here and wish you guys all the best.